Hi, I'm Dave Duprey. Welcome to Waterloo, New York, the birthplace of Memorial Day and the first community in New York State to host a Healing Field Flag Memorial. The concept was introduced by VFW past Commander Skip Campbell and his wife Cindy after their attendance at the National VFW Convention held in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it was quickly adopted by the Celebrate Commemorate Memorial Day Committee. The original Healing Field was held in Sandy, Utah on September 11, 2002. Paul Swenson had the inspiration to create a field of flags to honor the memory of the victims of the September 11th terrorist attacks. The Healing Field has since become a national program and is intended to be a source of healing and funding for worthy causes and charities across the country. Waterloo's Healing Field was held from May 25th through 30th on the Finger Lakes Health grounds of the Huntington Living Center on routes 5 and 20. Citizens and businesses were invited to purchase a flag to be flown on the Healing Field, either in memory of or in honor of an individual that serves their country and or their community. Thousands of individuals experienced some form of healing and personal fulfillment through participation in or visits to these Healing Field events in our community. This video is a recap of our week of activities, and we hope that you enjoy it.
Here it is, Saturday, May 20th, and we are at the Seneca County Fairgrounds Floral Hall for the first step of the assembly of our American flags for our Healing Field, which will be here in Waterloo, New York, which is Birthplace of Memorial Day. And who I have with me today is Mr. Bud Mitchell, who's president of the Waterloo Lions Club, and Bud has stepped up, come forward to help be one of the organizers and coordinators for this event. And Bud, can you tell me what we're doing here today?
Okay, we're getting the flags, so what the next step before they're put up in the field, the Healing Field, you have to assemble them. They all came in 5 pallets of individual parts yesterday. And today we've got a bunch of people here in stations, sort of an assembly-like operation.
My mom's Beatrice Tabor, and I'm her son Daniel, and this is just a great way to remember her. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's been part of this healing field. It really means something special, I think, to everybody that walks through it. Something different to everybody, but I think everybody's got their own little reason for being here, and my mom's little flag here just lets me know that she'll always be remembered in my heart and everybody else's.
I'm Doris Wolf. I read my dad's name in the reading of the names. My dad died in 1976. I didn't think it was going to hit me that hard, but I had trouble reading the next 2 names. So then I came up and I found his flag, and I had a little chat with him. And I told him about his great-grandchildren that I know he would be so proud of. Then I realized again how much I miss his wise counsel. He was a community servant of the highest order, and I try every day to live up to the example that he set for me. And this is quite an emotional experience.
My name is Steve Absalom. I'm here in honor of my father-in-law, Robert Conlon, who is passed, and it was a World War II veteran in the Army Air Corps. I'm also here with the second flag is for my father, Glenn Absalom, who was a veteran of World War II. I'm a Vietnam-era veteran, and I'm here also representing my nephew, Daniel, who's in Iraq right now with the Air Force. I find this a very moving and sentimental field, and I'm very proud to be an American and be part of it.
What a terrific idea, and what a wonderful time, Memorial Day, to have such an honor of all the veterans and all the loved ones here from the past, and we just came down to pay our respects. We think it's great.
Hi, we're Lynn and Linda Longwell, and this is a beautiful field to come and just make you feel so proud to be an American and remember all the people that sacrificed their lives so that we could come to something like this. And we're here to honor our son, who's a lieutenant in the Marine Corps. He's a fighter jet pilot, and we're very proud of him, and he's worked very hard, and he loves what he's doing, and he's glad that he can help protect this country.
When I saw this flag and this sticker on it with his name, World War I, AEF, American Expeditionary Force, in France, of course, I thought, Dad, I've done the best I can do for you. I've got you in this, you are a part of Waterloo again, and you are a deep part of me, which you will always be till the end of my life. It is a tremendous concept that you had, and that you have brought it over, what, 29 states right now? That is a remarkable achievement.
Oh, it's an honor for me. I mean, this gentleman we just were speaking to here, and he was saying, "Now, you've been to all the fields?" I said, "There's just no way I can punish my wife and kids that way." But this is special. This one here is special because to first of all, to meet you, sir, and this committee that did this, and this town, you were talking earlier in an interview about this may not be a grandiose town, but this is a town that has spirit, has a heart.
Yes, it does.
And they were able to do this. And you know, I know how during the Olympics you have Summer Ranch, whoever is the president of the organizing committee, going in at the end of the Olympics, say, "This was the best Olympics ever." Well, I'll tell you what, they don't get any better than what you've done here. both the traffic, the organization, how you've tied it in with other community events and everything. It's just, I mean, I've been on emotional high ever since I got here, and I want you to know that.
Elizabeth Moreland, Richard Cook, James E. Norcott, World War I veteran, Russell V. Mull,
Howard Longwell, First Class Richard J. LaPempio, 37 years of service.
Donald E. Schaefer, George Schaefer, James L. Schaefer.
Fred Coe and Gus Cartsey and Lee Wolf.
Donald Bush, U.S. Marine Corps, World War II. Art Hall. Ryan D. Irwin, U.S. Marine Corps, active.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming this afternoon on this beautiful day. I'd like to start off the program with the national anthem sung by George Staley Sr.
In memory of our fallen comrades and honoring our living comrades. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so brilliantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the whole of the brave? Thank you. God bless.
Let's give a round of applause to Jane Schaefer and Dave Duprey.
Welcome to Waterloo, New York, birthplace of Memorial Day, and the first community within New York State to host a healing field. A healing field An American flag memorial is what this healing field is. Today, you are sitting and standing and strolling amongst 1,452 American flags. Each one of these flags represents an individual that serves their country and also their community, because it takes a community to help support our veterans. And we want to say thank you to each one of you for being here today. And at this time, I'd like my co-chair Dave to say a few words.
Again, welcome. There's not much that I can say. This whole event has been absolutely overwhelming. The response of the community and the communities in the surrounding area has been fabulous. It's all about the veterans. It's all about honoring those who serve. And we really, really appreciate you all being here. God bless America. I would just like to take a moment to introduce those people that we are honored to have here with us on stage. And I'd ask you to just please stand when I call your name. You all know the Mayor of Waterloo, Lee Patchen. Honorable Michael Mazzolio, our state senator. Mr. Harry Rudy, who is with the Senior State Veterans Counselor of the Veterans Affairs, who is here representing Governor Pataki today. Skip and Cindy Campbell, with the individuals from the Veterans of Foreign Wars here in Waterloo that brought the Memorial Day Healing Field idea back to Waterloo. Honorable Raymond Meyer, New York State Senator. Honorable Brian Kolb, our Assemblyman. And we're privileged to have the founder of the Healing Fields with us here from Salt Lake City, Utah, Mr. Paul Swenson. Mr. Michael Bowen with an invocation.
Uncover. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we have come before you this day to pay tribute and honor to those who have served our nation and our community. These flags and this healing field represents their lives and dedication to God and our country. May their lives and the lives of all veterans always be remembered, lest we never forget their sacrifices. In the name of our Lord we pray. Amen.
We just ask for a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Standing in the semicircle around our tent are those individuals carrying flags representing the branches of the military and our local service organizations. As I read your name, please post your flag. Jim Hughes, Army. William Dadson, Navy. Richard Scully, United States Marine Corps. I'm sorry. Bob Sessler, Air Force. Cadet Michael Daffler, Coast Guard. Sergeant Robert Crawford, New York Guard. Leslie King, American Legion. Mary Williams, American Legion Auxiliary. Chuck Nightingale, Veterans of Foreign Wars. Dick Campo, Korean War Veterans. Don Eigenhofer, Vietnam War Veterans. Major Doug Daffler, Iraq War Vets. Anthony Struzik, the Army Reserve. George Brunn, Army Air Corps. Phyllis Dunlap, Taylor Brown Auxiliary. Mike Osowski, the WEA. Jason Evans, 40 and 8 Cavalry Group. Bonnie Hosford, Waterloo and Bloom. Jim Goloski, 148th. Teresa Tuttle, United States Postal Service. Kathy Segrist, the Waterloo Rotary. John King, Kiwanis. Bud Mitchell, Lions Club. Tom Crocker, Red Cross. Jim Snow, the United Way. Julie Franco, Track Team. Kathy Sheely, those who lost their lives on 9/11. Emily Thayer, Seneca County 4-H. Neil Brzee, the Waterloo ARC. Nick Goodman, Boy Scouts. Kim Pfeiffer, Girl Scouts. Tootsie Franceschi, the Catholic Daughters of America. Karen Cleveland, the Waterloo Business and Professional Association. Jan Snyder, Child Abuse Prevention. Greg Lang, New York State Police. Chief Doyle Marquardt, the Waterloo Police Department. Under Sheriff Michael Clare, Seneca County Sheriff. Don Witchey, North Seneca Ambulance. And Chief Matt Baylor, the Waterloo Fire Department. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, if you could all please be seated. We have some words from our guest speakers, and I'd like to first introduce the Mayor of Waterloo, Lee Patchen.
Thank you, David. I'll make it short. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody here on behalf of the entire village board and all the village employees. It takes a lot to make something like this go, but to start it off, you have to have the leadership. The leadership we have is these two people right up front, Jane Schaefer, Dave Duprey, Dave's wife Darlene, and I'm not sure where Chris is, but they went out to Utah. They found out how to put this together, and it's been quite a thing for our community. So I would just like to thank them and everyone for being here today. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Mike Nizzolio, your New York State Senator, and I'm honored to be here today to take part in this beautiful ceremony. I echo the words of my colleague and friend, Mayor Patchen, to thank the organizers who have done so much to bring healing fields to Waterloo. And thank you to Wayne and Cindy Campbell for having the vision to understand how this great tribute takes the tributes that Waterloo makes day in and day out, year in and year out, as the nationally recognized Birthplace of Memorial Day. This healing field takes our tributes for Memorial Day to a new level. This is not a day for speeches. Speeches are not necessary. Each one of these flags says it all. And when taken together, the powerful impact that any feeling person must feel when they drive or walk up this thoroughfare, to see these flags, to understand that behind each and every one of these flags is a person. Is a person who, through sacrifice and commitment, through dedication, through love of family and community, made a contribution. This is a powerful message. A message that says that each of us individually has so much to give. These people who gave so much are being recognized today. And when those contributions are taken together, it is such a powerful message. A message that says, as a nation, as a community, as a neighborhood, as a family, we are strong because of the individuals who have given much to us. In a few weeks, we will be having a convocation of veterans from across our region to help us in the planning and the establishment of another tribute that will take place in Seneca County, and that's the establishment of a veteran cemetery to be located on hallowed ground where over 400,000 brave young men and women trained either in the Navy or in the Air Force to defend their nation. Many who went abroad to fight for flag and country, some never to return. In the shadow of the Birthplace of Memorial Day, we will create that veteran cemetery. And that I know that Healing Fields, which will be part of our Memorial Day services forever, we will have that cemetery as also another tribute to the sacrifices of many. I'm so honored to be your New York State Senator, and thank you for having me here today.
Good morning. I'm Harry Rudy. I am a senior state veterans counselor with New York State's Division of Veterans Affairs, and I have a proclamation from the governor's office that I would like to read, and I would like to present it to the mayor. But before I do, as Waterloo is the birthplace of Memorial Day, I would challenge or charge each and every one of you to feel every day, on behalf of those who have gone before us, what you feel in your heart today. A simple challenge, but throughout the year, a bit more difficult. But please do. Whereas people of all backgrounds benefit from life in this great country of ours, a life that guarantees freedom, equality, and justice, and during this time of year, we pause to bear in mind the sacrifices made by men and women who have served in our nation's armed forces throughout its history. And therefore, we join to observe Memorial Day, or Decoration Day, as it was originally known, to honor the memory of our nation's war dead and to show respect for their contributions to preserving democracy and our cherished American values. And whereas the idea of honoring our nation's patriotic war dead was born on a spring day in May 140 years ago and originated as a loving gesture of remembrance, with upstate New Yorkers placing freshly blossomed wildflowers on the graves of fallen Civil War soldiers in the community of Waterloo. And this custom evolved into a national observance whereby each May we set aside a day to pay tribute to those who died in service to our country. And whereas on Memorial Day 2006, as we remember with pride and appreciation those who gave their life for America, we acknowledge our sons and daughters who today are at war, fighting an enemy blindly committed to destroying our cherished way of life and the freedom of others struggling to embrace liberty and justice. And whereas New York is rightfully proud of the selfless service and sacrifice of its citizens, as the spirit, patriotism, and valor of New Yorkers has been displayed in every war and conflict of our nation, and is present today in those citizens serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, and in other military operations at home and around the world. And whereas, as we honor our fallen heroes this Memorial Day, we find inspiration in those men and women who gave their life to preserve our liberty, a cause that generations of Americans have recognized worth serving for, despite the tremendous risks. And since embarking on the war against terrorism and the conflict in Iraq, nearly 140 New Yorkers have lost their lives carrying out their military duty. Their names added to the honor roll of patriots who made the ultimate sacrifice. And whereas on Memorial Day 2006, as we honor our war dead, let us also remember those who returned home to their families and communities. And let us pray for those who remain in harm's way, bravely protecting our country and our freedoms, and valiantly fighting to rid the world of terrorist intent on destroying our cherished way of life. Now therefore, I, George E. Pataki, Governor of the State of New York, do hereby proclaim May 29th, 2006 as Memorial Day in the Empire State, and encourage all citizens to preserve this meaningful tradition of remembering those who died in service to our nation. Mayor Patchen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Give the governor our best.
There are a couple of other people up here that I'd like to introduce as well. Our commander of the VFW in Waterloo, Mr. Chuck Nightingale. And Reverend D. Champlain. Next, I would like to introduce the Honorable Raymond A. Meyer, our New York State Senator from the 47th District. My good friend and your great state senator, Mike Mazzolio, said to me a few days ago, if you want to see where Memorial Day was born, but more important, if you want to be inspired and find out that America and its values are still alive and doing real well, you got to come to Waterloo. Let me commend you on the dedication of this healing field and on the values and the truths that you celebrate as you do that. It's so important that we remember, and I'll tell you why. It's the same reason the foundation of your house is important. Because when you think about it, what is our foundation in this country? Despite whatever speeches may be given on Memorial Day or patriotic occasions, despite the words in history books, despite the words in the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence or our founding documents, they're all just words, unless men and women are willing to put on their country's uniform,
serve under our flag, put themselves in harm's way, and even give the ultimate sacrifice. They are the foundation of our country, and you celebrate them here today. Now, from time to time in today's world, you read in the newspapers, or you turn on the TV, and you hear the pundits and the observers tell you that this country has problems, and that it may be that America will never be as great as it once was. And I can't wait to run into one of those people, because I'll tell you what I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them, you're wrong. And if you want to see evidence, let me take you to a village in New York called Waterloo. God bless you for what you're doing today. God bless you all. God bless America.
And now our Honorable Brian Kolb, New York State Assemblyman.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be here, but this is a emotional time to be here. Waterloo is a very, very special place, and I think most of the residents in the area know it. But when you come here today, you feel it. The dedication of the volunteers, your local government leaders, people throughout the entire community have turned out today to pay tribute, to honor those that have fallen before us as members of the military or our community leaders. Today, for me as well, there's 5 spirits out here that are moving to me, of people that I genuinely miss, that are honored by a flag here. My father, my brother, Ray Vecchi, World War II veteran, Dennis Morga, Gulf War veteran, and a man in this community that I got to know about 5 years ago, that even though I'm not a member of his family, he made me feel like a member of his family in this community. Vern Sessler Sr. These are the type of folks that I know all of you are remembering today. Loved ones, relatives, friends, members of the community, maybe even people that you don't know but you have heard of. This honor today of over 1,400 flags that represents men and women from across our state and community is an amazing, glowing tribute, a moving tribute. In a healing field, I believe is very simple in its terms. It's healing our grief, it's healing our loss, it's healing the wounds that we feel in our heart. That's what this field is about. And for all of us today, I know we've said thank you a couple times, but I don't know if we can ever say thanks enough to Jane, to Dave, to the entire committee that put this together today. It's an incredible display. Everywhere I've traveled across the Finger Lakes area, people are saying, have you seen the healing field in Waterloo yet? It's an amazing testimony to a community that has always given its heart and has always shown tremendous leadership, and especially recognizing the men and women that have served our country bravely. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to be a small part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brian. Don't we have some fantastic leadership? It's now my distinct honor to introduce a man that I think we surprised when he said, you ought to come out to Salt Lake City and see the healing field out here, and we accepted his invitation. And when we reciprocated, he surprised us. It's a tremendous privilege to now introduce Mr. Paul Swenson, the founder of the Healing Field.
Well, I don't think I have everybody's name here, but mayor and senators and These gentlemen here from the Veterans, American Legion, VFW, and like they say in Texas, all y'all. It's an honor to be here. We have thoroughly enjoyed this, and I was looking at the little Kleenex box over in the Holiday Inn. I thought that's not going to be good enough. I'm going to get one of those hand towels and bring it with me, but then they'd never be able to use it again. So, this is a postcard on every corner and every street here. I want to take a picture and just go back. You could just take a video camera and just go down the streets and paint the streets here. It's just so patriotic and beautiful. I also, there's been a lot of things said about Jane and Dave and their spouse, but I just want to thank you for doing this. It's a lot of work. It's extremely well organized. I mean, I open up the paper and there's a program. I open up here, there's another program, and there's something going on about every 5 minutes for 5 days. It's crazy. And I just want to commend you for the work you guys have done and everyone involved. Thank you. And I too will try to be brief here, but I want to just mention there's some of the older people here that were from this retirement center. I've been watching them as they looked out at all the activities here and thought what's going through their mind. They're the people that we're here to honor too, and I'm so glad that this field is honoring everybody, living, dead, those serving, firemen, policemen. You know, it's not everyone that gets to serve in the military. There's sometimes you just have an uncle who wasn't in the military, who just was a good example and taught his nephew well, and because of that you honor him and you learn from everybody. And I think I go back to September 11th in the morning. I was almost mad at my brother because I kind of blamed him for bringing me the bad news about the terrorist attacks, and went into work, and it was, people were thinking of going home, and then we decided we've got to stick around and not do what Osama bin Laden wanted everyone to do, which was give up and put their tail between their legs, but stay at work. And some went out and gave blood because there was a call for blood, and then I think they got too much blood, so we went out and did whatever we could to help in the community. 1 year later, on September 4th, I was flying back from Sacramento, California, on a job there, and it was a late flight. I was looking at USA Today that someone had left in a little pouch in front of me, and they were having a difficult time trying to figure out how to commemorate September 11th. Just imagine, there's no precedent for that. President Bush was going to make a tour of, he was going to go to the World Trade Center, then the Pentagon, and over to Shanksville, but mayors were stumbling with what to do. And then I saw that number there, 3,031 at the time, and it leapt off the page. I thought, that's a big number. It's so small on the page, I need to show that somehow. And landed, I went to bed, and it's one of those thoughts you have where it's a great idea the night before, but when you wake up, you wonder what your wife would think, you know. So, went to a Rotary Club meeting. I wasn't a Rotary at the time, but there's a gentleman who survived the North Tower. He got out of it just in time, and he was speaking, and so I was invited there, and I was talking to a gentleman with the Salt Lake Community College. Says, wouldn't it be nice to put one flag up for every person that got killed September 11th? And I'll supply everything. I just want to have a field of flags to show that, and we couldn't figure out where to go. So approached our mayor. Finally, the mayor gave in, let us use the lawn in front of Sandy City Hall, and long story short, we had 600 volunteers show up out of nowhere to put that thing up. That was on September 10th, so 4 days after I had brought that up, we were putting the thing up. But I noticed there was a fellow I knew, Larry Pickering, who had a bad back already, I knew, and he was carrying the poles down the field. I says, Larry, why don't you sit down? And he says, no, I owe them this. And Larry kept working. And then Linda Saxey, an old neighbor, was there, and she stayed there every day. And I says, Linda, why are you here every day?
She says, because it's the first time since the terrorist attacks I've been able to feel some sort of healing. And I knew it was a different thing than I'd expected. Originally I wanted just to show that the scale of the disaster, the number of those lost. Instead it turned into a thing where people could interact with the flag. We're used to seeing little flags in cemeteries, which are beautiful, at Arlington, and big flags on poles that we can't touch. But I hadn't anticipated that the healing field would be a bit like the Gutenberg press, where it brought the Bible to the people. This brought the flag to the people. We had a blind girl get off a bus of handicapped people, went through and just held the flag up to her face and went through probably 30, 40 flags just to fill the flag. Was that disrespectful? I think it's the opposite. I think it's the highest form of respect. So I honor you for doing this. And it's kind of morphed over the past 4 years. They've done healing fields that for child abuse prevention, like was mentioned, that you all came out to see in Salt Lake. There have been the next year we did a field, one for every person killed in the terrorist attacks, and then one for every soldier killed in Afghanistan and Iraq in the war on terrorism. And now this beautiful field here, which symbolizes friends and family and those lost in any engagement or just serving their community here. And it's, Osama bin Laden got it wrong. He could destroy our symbols. He hit our financial symbol, and he hit our military defense symbol, and was trying to hit the symbol of representative government. But he can't hit this symbol of the flag and what's in each of our hearts. That he can't destroy. I have a little boy here who, his name is Jacob, and he has been working hard to do this, and I know you do this tomorrow, but I'm going to borrow this mic, and he's going to say something that means a lot to you folks.
7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation, so conceived or so dedicated, can long endure or meet on the great battlefield of that war. We're here to dedicate a portion of that field as the final resting place for those who gave their lives that that nation might live. It's altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot haul this ground. The brave men, living and dead, consecrated it above our power to add or detract. The world will little note or long remember what we say here, but the world can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion, which they gave the last full measure of devotion. We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, that that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
And that sums it up, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to teach our children about what we experience here. And I see many children here, and that we, as Nathan said, highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that we teach the principles of free government, of democracy, and we let them become familiar with the documents, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, those things that we enjoy, that we are the leaders in the world of, and that the world looks to us for, and those and lead in that area. And thank you once again for the time to speak here, and my hat's off to Waterloo. Congratulations, man. Job well done.
And now the Minders Chamber Singers will sing America the Beautiful.
Everyone stand, please.
To coin a phrase that Darlene Duprey said all the time we were in Utah, wow. It's hard to think that we're coming to closing remarks for today's dedication, but I'd be very remiss if I didn't say a special thank you to the 50-plus committee members that consist of the Celebrate, Commemorate, and Healing Field committees. They're your neighbors, or your loved ones, or your friends. When you see them, give them a pat on the back. They won't step forward, but please make sure you reach out to them and tell them how much you appreciate what they do and what they do for the community. Okay, we will be retiring this field at 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning. If we have some more volunteers out there that could come and give us a hand, we will then start people can pick up their flags Wednesday, starting at 12 noon to 6 p.m. right here at the information booth. And please bring your receipt. Don't panic if you don't have the receipt, because Mrs. Duprey has a wonderful database. And we'll find it, but if you have your receipt, it will facilitate the process a lot faster for us. And please be patient, because we do have 1,452 flags on this field. Thank you.
And Jane has said it all. Thank you to everyone. And now I would like to introduce Reverend Minnie DeChamplain for benediction.
Thank you for standing. Before I offer a litany of remembrance and a final blessing, I have something that I want to say. I come from one of those strange places down south in New York called Manhattan. I live in Lower Midtown, and I had the privilege of working with a number of people here for 9 months at Ground Zero in the recovery. I was a chaplain, and it changed everyone's life around the world irreversibly and forever. But I am honored today that one of those colleagues invited me to come up here to stand in solidarity with you, whose hearts also broke that day. And so thank you for inviting me. And it occurs to me, I'm being healed. When I heard the Gettysburg Address recited, I thought that's about the most healing thing I've heard in a long time, not to mention the flags and the music and your presence, you see. We stand here in Waterloo in solidarity with people around this great nation and arguably in every place where the American flag is honored. In this place, we are today surrounded by what I can only as a priest call a great cloud of witnesses. Each flag, each name read aloud, bear witness to the love and devotion of both the living and the dead for this wonderful country of ours. And on Memorial Day, it is the witness, the memory of those who have died that impels us who survive to press on regardless, as my grandfather used to say. To never forget that the loss of a loved one is not an irretrievable loss. To never forget that in death, the lives of those we love have changed but not ended. That is the mystery of our faith. That they now stand on another shore and in a greater light. To never forget that they are always with us. You know that. I know that. What brings us here is our confidence in that, and our confidence that we can be consoled by the presence of these flags, the hearing of these names, and the presence of one another. And so we remember them. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. And now, may the blessing of God, the shalom of God, the eternal goodwill of God, the wildness and warmth of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, be among you and remain with you forever. Amen.
Amen.